I'm so excited to begin, right? I'm so excited to have this experience with you. Um, such such an amazing subject of focusing and prayer. And I don't know that aside from Dana and Baruch, if other people have really talked about that. I gave a little talk in a church about focusing in prayer, and only 3 people came. It didn't seem like a very popular topic for that group. But I think that we're going to be exploring some very new ways of thinking about prayer and new ways of thinking about focusing. And prayer, it's a word that so many meanings and so many feelings. So I'm eager to see what it will mean to you. To some people, it may have alienating meanings, and to some people it may have cherished meanings. So welcome to this June morning. And I want to remind you that after this meeting today, we're going to be having a meeting about help the helpers over the summer and in the fall, for those of you who are willing to help plan. I'm so eager to welcome Dana and Baruch. Dana is a focusing coordinator for Israel, and Baruch, a focusing trainer in Israel. And they've been working together in doing some amazing classes. And I've heard about these classes from many different people that have taken the classes, and then I joined one of them and could only do it via the videos, but it was so interesting and helpful. So I'm not going to do a long welcome, but I also wanted to say that Dana and Baruch and I did a wonderful trialogue that we recorded, and I just got the video edited, and it will be on YouTube. So you might want to hear what we talked about and share it with people. And of course, this meeting will be on video on YouTube also. So without any further comments, let me introduce the two of you and introduce you to our wonderful group here. We're so appreciative of this group that's been meeting for two years and supporting each other around the world in these stressful times.
Thank you very much, Lynn. Thank you for inviting us. And we're really excited to be with this special group and to share with you what we care about so much and we've been developing for the past few years. But maybe we'll just have a very short tuning in. Just take a few moments that you can just sit in a comfortable and alert position, just sensing how we are right now. Very gently. Allowing ourselves to arrive. Maybe something is needed before we begin. Maybe we already sensing subtle changes just from this open attention to ourselves. And into this space, I just want to read a quote of Lynn, and you can sense what comes to you.
Oh, it just came back.
So maybe I will say it twice. The felt sense, which I call the edge of awareness, comes between the usual conscious person and the deep universal reaches of human nature, where we are no longer ourselves. I will repeat it, and you can just sense what comes to you with those words. The felt sense, which I also call the edge of awareness, comes between the usual conscious person and the deep universal reaches of human nature, where we are no longer ourselves. We just open to what comes. Letting the words touch our deep universal nature. And in our own time, slowly, we can come back to our shared space. And gently open our eyes if he wants to. And from the start, I invite you to have a pen and a paper near you so you can write to yourselves what comes to you. We will have time for discussion, but there's much more still. Okay. And in this meeting, we would like to share with you, touch into, because it's really just a touch of what we can share with you, what we call prayer-oriented focusing, POF, which is the approach that we developed. It came out from the meeting between Baruch and me, which was in a way a meeting between two worlds. And slowly we develop, and we are continuing to develop it, which is in a way it's a crossing between the art of prayer, which Baruch explored and taught and wrote about for many years. And I would say Jenlin's thinking, or the way we understand some of his thinking and ideas.
I think you think looking down, I'm not sure.
Just if someone can unmute, can help. And I just want to say quickly one more thing, because before we are starting, we'll have a short introduction and discussion, and then we'll have a shared exercise, I will call it for the now being. Later, maybe it will change its name. I will just say quickly that, as Jenlin is saying, all the way through, from the beginning to the end, it is going to be important that words don't have fixed meanings. Sometimes how you use a word changes the word a lot. And that's what is going to happen to the word body in all his work. And that is what we are hoping and we are aiming to, is going to happen to the word human being into the word prayer.
So we will start, we will make an introduction. In order to learn what we mean when we speak about prayer, when we speak about a human being, it's really, we need a few courses that that we can enter and to work, to know how to work with the word of prayer, with the field of prayer. But for now, I want to say a few things. Dana, can you remind me how Jenny started the
process model?
process model?
I shall lay down a few terms as if they came out of nowhere.
Okay, so I will do the same. And I will try to put a few things like they come from nowhere. When we start now, it appears in my mind in one of the conversations that Jen Lynn had with Dave Young, that he says it's not enough to be human. It's not enough to be human. And when we speak about the field of prayer, it's a new understanding, or the field of prayer, I think, the main thing in the field of prayer, it's an action or a process that gives us a new understanding what it means to be human. It's not that the field of prayer want to replace our inner image or inner understanding what it means to be human and to replace it with a different picture. I think that the depth of the field of prayer, that it gives us an action or a process, not in a different picture, but an action or a process, that this process or this action, this is what we mean to be human. It's like, usually we have a picture what it means that I'm human. But I think the word and the field of prayer want to suggest to us to make any action, to understand a certain kind of a process, that this is the meaning to be human. It's much more than every understanding, every picture, every inner image that you will have about what it means to be human. When you will do it, this action, this process, this is what it means to be human. If I will say it in a poetic way, and maybe you can look at it like an image or a poetic language. Life is like the prayer of the infinite. The word life, you can relate to it as the prayer of the infinite. And when we do this action, this process, it doesn't matter how you will call it. Let's call it now with the enigmatic word prayer. This is what it means to be human. Then you bring all this richness that from the quotation that Dana read before. It's a very subtle practice. It's a very subtle. When you do this practice, you change what you sense, who you are. And when you do this practice, you let go to why you do it, for what will be the results of this practice? It's a practice that it brings the meaning in itself. When you do it, something you enter to a process that the meaning has the meaning by itself. When I enter, because when I enter to the field of prayer, I can sense. Here we use metaphors. I can sense the infinite essence of everything. I can make movement of carrying forward. I can bring movement. Through this process, we can arrive to new understanding of situations, of ourselves, of life, and we carrying forward life, or we carrying forward the infinite life in the world. Or if I would use another word, I become not only the channel, I become a co-creator with the infinite. So, to summarize it, in the field of prayer, in this practice, you have a different understanding what it means to be human. And of course, in this practice, we want to share with you a different understanding what it means, this process. What is the process that we call it prayer? And we want to distinguish this, what we speak now about prayer, from the books of prayers that we have in every tradition, or from rituals. First of all, we want only in this meeting only to touch this action, this activity freshly as it is. And okay, this was a few things that maybe it sounds that they come from nowhere, but it's okay. First of all, I want to put it as it is. Then maybe we will make it another few things. We will share with you another few things about the Tavla.
Yes.
How we approach prayer.
Okay, so I can read it. First of all, we want to, as you understand, we want to make several distinctions about prayer. Later on, we will connect it more to focusing. The difference between prayer as ritual or practice to prayer as a model of life and a way of existence.
Yeah. Like I said before, one of the things is to understand that prayer, to take out again this in fresh way, this activity, this action, this word, and to understand that it's a different way to approach yourself, to ask again who you are, and to a different way to be engaged in the world. It's like a model of life.
Prayer is a liberating act that depends on personal choice, of a movement towards the fullness of our nature.
And again, like I said before, you can live your life without prayer. I know many people, they live their life without this, not through this perspective. But, and you can see it in the ancient text, to enter to this field, or to listen to life from this perspective, if we say it in the religion language, you have a free. It depends of you. It depends of you, because usually our face, they are turning toward life. They don't turn toward the process that life appears. to turn to our core and to participate in the process of, it's a participant of the process of life, you have to pause, you have to choose to do it. There are certain steps that you have to, you learn how to sense life, how to open yourself as wide as possible to the vastness, how to open yourself to the larger system. You can use in many metaphors from Lynn or from many traditions. And then how to, not only how to be in the infinite, but how to listen to it and to take the process till you arrive to understanding, to a new understanding, till words can carry forward new things and to create the word in a different way. This is the process of prayer. It's not, again, or maybe I have to emphasize, it's not a spiritual practice. It's not there is no connection to spiritual life. This is life. In ancient tradition, what we want to suggest, they speak about this action as a new understanding of yourself, as a possible understanding, a possible way of living that you can live your life through it. And life change, not your spiritual life change. Life, they change themselves through it. Okay?
I just want to say that the term the larger system, we learned it from Lynn, that we are part of a larger system. And when he says larger system, he says it itself, it doesn't mean that it's very large, but it's beyond any concept. Okay.
And again, we suggest that every expression that we share with you, and it sounds, you have any resonance with it, please write it for yourself, and then you can give us back the words or the expressions.
The relationship between the consciousness of the infinite and regenerative co-creation.
Again, like I said before, the field of prayer has two poles. One is toward the infinite, but the other pole is toward life. It's not a moment that you go to silent in order to be in silent. It's not a moment for sure. It's not the purpose of prayer is not to relax. It's not a well-being. Is the question of life. Is the question of the precious of our life. And there is these two poles that we have to learn how to walk with them. The infinite side and how you become co-creator with the infinite and change interactions, relationship. I can pray before I'm going to meet my wife, or before I speak with my son, or during a session when I'm in my work, and I see that people that don't know exactly what they speak about, and through it, in a very simple way, not spiritual, not outside life, but inside life, how to bring or to put something else, something new in the creation. Okay, and maybe we'll read now fastly.
I'll just read it. It speaks for itself. Prayer is not an action that takes place outside of existence. It is the action that creates existence.
Again, maybe I will add, prayer is not something that I need something in my life, so now I will go to ask about it. No, it's the opposite. I don't know what is the existence. And I pray, I enter to the field of prayer in order to understand deeply what I want that the existence will be, what I listen, what not what I want, I will use now this metaphor, what the infinite wants, what is the possibility of the existence, okay? I don't enter to ask about existence, I want to enter to bring or to understand differently and to to have a new understanding of what the existence, or to listen to new possibility of the existence. Okay? And the last rule, you don't have to bring it back, Dana. I think in our generation, the word of prayer, I can't suggest many ideas why, but I can say the process of prayer, the field of prayer, the art of prayer opens itself in a new way. It's like something happened in the people's sense of life or their understanding of life. And I think we are now, and we see it, and we teach in many places, outside Israel, abroad, and in all the world, and in Israel. And you see so many people, it's like they're thirsty to new understanding of this world, something challenged them or something called them in this enigmatic world that we call prayer. Okay, so this was a little introduction to put a few things like they came from Norway.
Okay. So just maybe we'll take 5 minutes to hear back from you. Something that resonates inside, something that you understood that we're bringing here. And of course, write to yourselves questions. Maybe we will answer question after the practice. But we would like to hear a few of you. How does this thing land in this? And even if it's just a word or a phrase that you heard and you want just to give it back in your own voice, it gives a new resonance.
This will be the best. Only give back what you heard, not without opinions or edification or something like. Only bring the words or the phrase. Okay? You can unmute yourself and speak.
I'd like to say something that I heard that jumps out at me. Prayer is the action that creates existence, what the infinite wants. I gain a new understanding what existence wants.
Dana, your comment, you quote from, let's see, from Jean, the place that is the space between our individual selves and where we are no longer our individual selves, which doesn't mean that we are no longer, but that that Jean was in those spaces and held that is deeply touching for me. I really appreciate that quote. Something about these times that we're in and my own processes these days of change that really go right there where my sense of my own center is no longer in myself so much, but in something else. So it's very odd, but I appreciate hearing that. Thank you.
Thank you. Annecy, that's how you pronounce your name?
Yes, yes. You know, I loved prayer as ritual, as practice, as a model of life, a way of existence. That really deeply resonated with me.
I heard, I enter prayer to understand.
I heard prayer as a liberating act that depends on personal choice.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Movement toward the fullness of our nature.
we're slowly like creating a fabric, I would say, of new meanings of what the word prayer means to us and what it can carry forward in our lives.
I heard, take the process until you arrive at a new understanding.
Wonderful. And maybe we'll continue now. We want to make an experiential process now. And later on, you can go into the room and share a little bit and come back. And then we will a little bit also relate the world of prayer to Jen-Lynn's terms, but it will be just okay.
I just wanted to say that
Yes.
me, I heard that listening to the felt sense is a prayer. The felt sense is that connection between the individual self and the universal self.
Yes. Okay, so we're already finding from the connections. Yes. So I will start and then Baruch will continue. And as you know, in any process, there are invitations for you. And yet you also listen to your own process, your own soul, your own carrying forward. Okay. Okay, so we just begin by a very regular entering into maybe a process. Think of something that maybe a meeting that you're planning, maybe some subject that in a way you're engaged with, it maybe you're a little bit worried about or doesn't need to, but something in your life right now, doesn't have to be a big thing, but something that is there and is calling for some attention. So it could be the next thing that you have to do today or that you planned. Okay, we have something? Just raise your hand so I know that something is there. Okay, okay. And if not, just everything will do. Okay, and this is something that comes to us to explore. And when we have it now, let us first just think, what do we want there? What do we want there? Just in a very simple way. If there's a meeting that we planned, if there's a project that we are handling, if there is a relationship that is that we're speaking about, what do we want there? And maybe even it's not just one wanting, but there are several wantings. Oh, I want that this will happen. And I want this, that will happen. It could be something that we know already. It could be something that comes now, but we're just exploring everything that we are engaged with. There's our own personal wantings there. And maybe with the wantings, we also sense the situation, just this first sense of the situation. Don't need to go now into a focusing process, but it's like the first thing that comes, how we feel the situation.
Okay, so now we will enter to something like between 10 and 15 minutes of prayer. I want to suggest I will conduct you to a certain process, but I say it like with humor, but I cannot say all the instruction now because it's very subtle, the instruction to enter to the prayer. But, and again, don't take me serious about what I said now, but take me serious. Try to sense like in a telepathic way the nuance of what I want to share with you. Even though I cannot enter to very subtle things, but sense it like in, I don't know how, with your soul, with your, I don't know how, okay? Don't, all the time try to listen to the instruction like it's something that I want to say something more. Don't look for what you understand already or to recognize if it's something that you already made in the past, okay? So we will take now something between 10 and 15 minutes. What I suggest that we will start, please don't close your eyes. Only sit back. You can look beyond the screen and continue to stay with your eyes open. Turn your attention only to sense your body. And you can adjust your way of sitting in order that you can sense more. Look for the way that we can see, that I can sense more, even I'm with open eyes. And I want to suggest to you that if it's comfortable to you, put your hands on your legs with your palms turning up. And for a while, we will do nothing. And only be curious, what happens when I do nothing? What occurs by itself? And if you need any instruction, you can sense, you can conduct your attention and to sense your feet on the floor. To see if something change with your breathing. And really do nothing. Can be aware if you only sense the your room, only you sense the space in front of you, or you sense that you are sitting in the middle of a room. Really do nothing, and like give your consciousness to synchronize with life. And slowly, when it feels right, allow your eyelids to go down. And again, do nothing. Look for the state that you cannot define. You don't have words. See if there is any state now you can be without any definition or any words or instructions. It's like you turn toward something else, or and you can give your consciousness to expand. Can I sense now the depths that I sense now? In other people, in the, maybe if there are people in my house or animals, can I sense that this depth is the depth of every creature? Maybe can I imagine now that the people in my neighborhood, they have the same depth? Can I sense now people in different countries? What happened to the sense of life, even to the sense of I, if it still exists? And I sense this, the life that exists in everywhere, every creature. And do nothing. Where I am now, who am I now? Only sense what happened to ourselves. And do nothing. We could continue to be in this state, but what will happen when you give yourself to remember again the activity or the topic that you choose before.
And then from the place you are now, I will ask you something, and you can sense even what comes with the question itself. In this situation, what is being asked through me? What is being asked through me? Just putting this question and very gently listen. What is being asked through me or from me in this situation? And you can just sense, even at the impact of this question itself, without answering it yet. What happens? And you may have a sense of something that comes to you. It's a place where we can spend a long time. Maybe from these questions and sense words come. And maybe not. Yet we can just sense if there are any subtle change of how we perceive the situation.
You can continue to sense whatever you sense now, or you can only continue to be aware, and I will tune a little, and only give yourself to listen.
And if you like, you can take a few moments to write to yourself. And we'll answer this question soon. And so we will go now to the breakout rooms for triads, maybe for 15 minutes. And you're invited to share or to sense subtle shifts that you may have experienced during the process, or even during the talk that we gave, just to see if there is those subtle changes, or if there's something that we call it a living edge, something we don't call it, we took it, something that was alive in me through the talk that we gave. We're sure that's a lot of questions, then we will hear them later, but it's something that was alive for me, fresh for me, or made a subtle change. And what we suggest, maybe you do it already, but what we suggest that in the group, each person will have several minutes to share, and then it will turn to the other person, and then in turn to the other person. So each will have time for it.
Already, if you want to write for yourself something or write the questions, use this time till everyone will come back.
Welcome back, everybody. Hi, Nat. Hi, Jim.
Hey, Rachel.
Hi.
Hi, Rachel.
Hi, Dorothy. Dorothy, happy
Okay, it's nice to.
birthday.
Okay.
Hello.
Welcome back, everyone. We want to, the time that we have, first of all, we want to invite you to ask questions. It could be, you don't have to be long questions, short questions that you would, or something you would like to hear a little bit more about it, it could be from whichever place you are coming at, doesn't matter. I just start with the first question that was on the chat about what is the prayer that you sang? Baruch.
Uh,
And just a minute, there was a, okay, no, it's, there was a noise, okay.
I said very shortly. The reason it's not a prayer as it is. It's like when you enter to the field of prayer, you can listen. You can listen and to give yourself to tune something. This is something there is description. I sense it like in my life. Like it's like a ladder that can take you and like to different layers of sense or depth. So this is something that it's not improvisation. It's not improvisation. It's a kind of nigun, yes, but it's not improvisation. It's a very deep listening to something and then give my voice to go out. And I can speak a lot about it. Okay, so I hope that I gave any direction. I suggest to each of you, when you enter to the field of prayer, try to tune something. Listen, don't listen to yourself, listen to something else.
It's very intriguing. I want to try that.
Right.
I'd like to ask a question. Is it the feet of prayer, F-E-E-T? Or I didn't understand.
Field of prayer.
Field
of prayer. Yeah, feet would be an interesting, intriguing metaphor, but it's a field of prayer.
Thank you.
I love that phrase, the field of prayer, that we're entering the field. And it reminds me of that Rumi poem about a field beyond right and wrong. I'll meet you there.
Yeah.
Guest house.
Rumi, lovely.
Yeah. Don't hesitate. Ask question. Let's use the few moments that we have.
Okay, I had a question and I think I found the answer. And the question was, if there is no God, who do I pray to? And the answer that came to me that during in the course of this listening to this session was that it's the deepest desire of my heart. And if I reach to it, that's my faith, the deepest. And the comment to that it may not be beautiful. This deepest desire can be something not nice as well.
Yes, but I want to suggest something again. I want only to suggest something. When you enter to your depth, you don't find yourself. I can promise you. Okay, or I will say it in the language of I heard from our friend, probably most of you know, from Donata Shura, that she quoted Eckhart, Meister Eckhart. And more or less, I don't remember exactly, that he tracked people, sense yourself, and there, where you find yourself, let it go. So, but the main thing is this is what I said in the beginning. The practice of prayer, you don't need a theology in order to enter to this field. This field will teach you what it means to be the depth, what it means heart, what it means. We have to, what I suggest, this is what I do in my life. The only thing that I can share with you, with all of you, is from my life. Put for a while theology aside. Try to see what happens when you practice. Hopefully you will reveal yourself and life differently. This is in a subtle way, but it is something very precious. So this is the only thing that I can say. I hope that okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
What do you mean when you say put yourself aside?
First of all, to put your opinions. Second, to put your knowledge. And only try to, again, this is why the part of the reason why the first gate that we teach and we elaborate to the field of prayer is doing nothing, is to sit, and by doing nothing, already something else, you put aside your thoughts, your opinions, your identification. This is what already something in you, like a flower, something opens itself. It's not that you put yourself aside, but you put everything that you know about yourself. Is to put everything that you know about yourself, about the infinite God, put all this for a while. After you can come back. Maybe you will understand them deeply after this process. But this is something very, I think, we can in many practice, we can do it.
Yeah, in a way, we understand the focusing practice like that. When we enter the focusing practice, our known concepts, our known structure that we hold, the things that, as we started with, what we want, what we understand, in a way, it transforms itself. When next time you are focusing, ask yourself while you're deep inside, what kind of I is focusing now? And you will see that it has changed from the regular I that engage in everyday interactions.
Yes. I'm thinking of what Jean Dillon said to therapists and to helpers about putting nothing between you and the client. And everything is right there that you know and feel and want, but you put it right next to you. And the field of prayer to me is about putting nothing between you and life in that same way.
Even between you and the depth. Usually we call the depths of ourselves, but we can call it for a while in this way. But even to put nothing between, to put nothing there.
Excuse me, could you repeat that term, the neft, you said?
Depth.
Depth.
Yes, okay.
The deep.
Yes, thank you. So you asked for subtle thoughts, and I noticed that when you asked us to turn our palms upwards, the very difficult topic I was thinking about softened a little bit. My thoughts softened. So, for what it's worth,
It's very much worthwhile.
yes. And I very much appreciated the music, the chant, because those are subtle energies that help you be with difficult things.
For me,
Music helped me most. Yes, sorry. Good.
Please finish and see. Are you finished?
Yes, I'm finished. Thank you, Susan.
I just wanted to add about the singing that came to me like I didn't expect it, like a wind, a rush that kind of cleared a space inside, and for a minute all thought was gone. It was so refreshing.
I want to say it's not a miracle, and it's not I don't know if you say hocus pocus in English too, but probably. I want to come back to from the point that we start. To be human, it's different from what we think it means to be human. And this we want to open. The field of prayer open this reader, what it means to be human, through the practice.
And,
Yes.
and I just want to add that that we found that when we read deeply into Jen Lynn's intentions, we have a lot of quotes, but we won't have time now to share. We really find these subtle hints towards the things that we shared with you. And that's why it was so natural to us to work with prayer consciousness and then move into a focusing space, and then sometimes go back, because when we develop the POF, we have certain movements in the POF, so like certain steps, Jens didn't like to say, but certain movement in the POF, and we practice those movements, and they can be as themselves, and they can come into the focusing process, and then we can see that, as we sometimes say, it's not just caring for the situation on which we are focusing, it carries forward our life. And it's not just the implicit of the situation, it's the implicit of who I am in the world.
What we taste today is only like to enter to the field of prayer. And maybe we will have another time, and then we succeed to share with you more about the prayer-oriented focusing, because it's very elaborated practice.
Yes,
and we want to thank you so much that we have the Lynn, that you invited us, and we have the opportunity to share with you something that we sense that is something precious to our life.
Thank you so much, Dana and Baruch. We often end with a poem, and I'm wondering if Dorothy has a poem for us.
Yes, yes, I do.
This can give you a chance to just take in and all that you've given us. And thank you so much for being with us. And we would love to have a part 2 to investigate this more, to practice this more.
And also, if I can add before the poem, that if you have any questions, because it really was, if even something that you sense that was very difficult to you, not very, very important, but maybe difficult, you can write to us. We have a site where you can also come and have the mailing list, and it's really, we can send you through Lynn. But if something resonates and you need and want to hear more and ask for more, you're very welcome.
Maybe you can put that in the chat, Dana.
Yes, I will do it. Thank you. I will do it now.
And again, you'll be able to see the video of our conversation and also of this on YouTube. Okay, Dorothy, we're ready for you.
In keeping with prayer, this is like a morning prayer, a morning offering, he calls it, by John Donahue, our beloved philosopher poet from Ireland. A morning offering. I bless the night that nourished my heart, to set the ghosts of longing free into the flow and figure of dream that went to harvest from the dark, bread for the hunger no one sees. All that is eternal to me welcomes the wonder of this day, the field of brightness it creates, offering time for each thing to arise and illuminate. I place on the altar of dawn the quiet loyalty of breath, the tent of thought where I shelter, waves of desire I am sure to, and all beauty drawn to the eye. May my mind come alive today to the invisible geography that invites me to new frontiers, to break the dead shell of yesterdays, to risk being disturbed and changed. May I have the courage today to live the life I would love, to postpone my dream no longer, but do at last what I came here for, and waste my heart on fear no more.
Very beautiful. Thank you. And again, so much, Baruch and Dana. And for those of you who are going to meet with us about the future of Help the Helpers and planning, we'll be meeting at the same place in 15 minutes. If you want, you can just turn your camera off for 15 minutes and we'll see you at 10 o'clock. Bye-bye.
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 Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you so much, Baruch and Dana.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye, and thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. It's wonderful.
Thank you.